Hello friends, this is my second video on my memories of following this great game, the willow and leather game of cricket. And in this, I'd like to talk about an approach that has become so famous these days, Bazball, and an approach that is actually being improved upon by the Indians. Now, uh, I do not understand what the criticism is all about. It's a fresh approach to a game. It's a devil may care attitude approach to batting. It's not easy to apply that while you bowl. You can't do that. I mean, the way you do it with the bat. So the devil may care attitude of Joe Root included, um, Harry Brook, and then Ben Duckett, and then the rest is fantastic. I think it should be applauded. I think McCallum is an innovator who will find his place. Will be acknowledged a bit grudgingly for now, but I think over time he'll be acknowledged. He'll be acknowledged as someone who brought an approach to a game that made the game more watchable and more exciting and drew in greater crowds. Test matches being played the T20 way. England against New Zealand, the second test match that England won in New Zealand recently, which is part of the current WTC cycle. The run rate for England was 5.5 in both the innings for a length of time. They just won't care. Wickets fell, the fours kept coming. More wickets fell, the sixes kept coming. And it was fantastic to. Uh, Harry Brook is one of my favorite players for the approach to the game. Indeed, I've said this before and I'll keep saying it. Kushal Mendes happens to be my favorite player in the world today. He's just so elegant. That touch that he has, I think that kind of touch was available to VVS Lakshman and Damian Martin, perhaps David Garr too. David Garr, I remember, hit five sixes in a World Cup match. I think he scored about 138, and none of those looked. It is as if he was worried that the ball will lose his sheen. David Garr, I'm sure he did apply power, but it didn't appear that way. He was such an elegant player, David Garr, and a great commentator these days, David Carr. So, to come back to the baseball approach, who started it all? Uh, I'm not a cricket historian. I don't have the depth of awareness to say things with the authenticity that is required to say what I'm saying right now. But I think it was Roy Fredericks who started this kind of an approach. His promise to hit a six on the first ball of the match, most of the time he matched it. And it is fantastic during those days for him to do something as outlandish as, even hitting a six. It is surprising when I heard that Don Bradman hit only six sixes in his test career. But did he require to hit sixes? If he hit sixes, that average would have gone through the roof. It has already gone through the roof. So to come back to this approach, Rohan Kanai played those falling sixes, falling hook shots that he used to play. But I do not remember anyone before Krishnamachari Srikkanth. I can be corrected if I'm wrong. Playing the way he did, he played some outlandish shots. Krishnamachari Srikkanth hitting the ball over the top was the exception more than the rule. It actually became the rule that is so visible these days in T20. What would he have done had he played T20 cricket, Krishnamachari Srikkanth? Your guess is as good as mine. And he, like Rishabh Pant, wouldn't have died wandering. And he's that kind of a player. Was that kind of a player. True crowds. That the 4, 6, and 4 that he hit against Malcolm Marshall in Sharjah was perhaps the highest quality of cricket. And Marshall was forced to bowl that inducker that caught Srikanth perhaps on the fourth ball. But Krishnamachari Srikanth revolutionized batting, revolutionized approach to batting, and then he did it all with a smile. That that expression was was just too funny. And I've never seen a batter do what he did. He cut the ball off the stumps. Everybody had their hand on their heads, but the ball used to race to the fence. Krishnamachari Srikkanth. And the way he walked towards a New Zealand spinner, Patel was it, and river swept him was something that was, audacious is too small a word to use in that context. What a great player Krishnamachari Srikanth, and the highest scorer in the World Cup final 1983. Imagine the kind of batters who were there in that final, and for him to be the highest scorer in the World Cup final is that kind of a pitch and those kind of bowlers, that kind of fielding is just sensational. So Mark Gridbatch also did the same, but that was part of a strategy. It was not an approach that Mark Gridbatch had applied when he began his career. Krishnamachari Srikanth batted that way the moment he came in, regardless of whether it is a test match or a one day match. So he is definitely the pioneer in terms of that kind of an approach. Definitely would draw. McCullum would have drawn from that approach during those times. Of course, there were no fielding restrictions as well during those times. One day rules were evolving. So for Krishnamachari Srikanth to end up being successful in that approach speaks very, very highly of that great man. And I think you will not have another like him, perhaps in another 50 years, Krishnamachari Srikanth. And Sunil Gavaskar at the other end had the privilege of watching him from close quarters. So that is something I wanted to talk about in this current video, and give credit where it is due. Perhaps if Krishnamachari Srikanth was an Englishman, he would have got a lot of credit, and he'd have been compared to the best of the lot. Okay, so the as I always promise, I had a classmate called Balaji when I was doing my metric in Vizag, Vishakhapatnam, and his Balaji's father was, I think, a DSP, a police officer. Now, Balaji's father had the privilege of watching Don Bradman in action and also watched the three W's in action. Now, how lucky is that? Wow. So, I don't remember whether he had the fortune of watching George Headley, the Black Bradman in action, but even watching only Bradman and three W's, Weeks Warren Walcott in action, would have been a feast for the eyes. How lucky was that man? I do feel jealous of Balaji's father. That's it from me here. I'll come up with more innovative videos, more videos rooted in the past, but invoking the present as well. And then I hope these videos give you joy and also bring back beautiful memories to you all. Thank you for your time. Looking forward to your encouragement and patronage.